All right, welcome everyone. Another exciting episode with yours truly, David Morgan, and the one and the only John Perez. John, this is like, I don't even know where to start on most of talking, but we need some background. So let us know some background and continue on with, I think, probably one of the most interesting stories in the silver market and the war effort that we could talk about. So far away.
Yeah. This is a big story. It's I've been calling for about 3 months. I've been telling my group of people that we're heading into an area that's called the magical coincidence. And I call it the magical coincidence because I kept on saying, and you called me out on this on one of our last interviews about the Comex numbers, that I said that these numbers weren't real, and you called me out. And I thought that was the right thing to do. And I said the silver left in the Comex is most likely allocated to meet the U.S. Mint needs for printing coin and minting coin. So for weeks, I've been telling everyone, get ready for the magical coincidence. Get ready for the magical coincidence. The magical coincidence is coming. What is the magical coincidence? The magical coincidence, I said to everyone in my group, my stock group, was when Russia goes into Ukraine, we are going to see all the derivative houses, primarily the COT and the Comex derivative houses, they're going to collapse because they don't have the silver and they can't suppress it under the weight of conflict. And that's where I get the hashtag bombs move markets. So once the bombs start to drop, which is coming here February 21st and the 22nd, we're going to see things light up in Russia on February 21st, 22nd. We'll see a speech by Vladimir Putin on February 21st. I said, in the magical coincidence, what we're going to see is the derivative houses are going to roll over and they're going to magically coincide with the Russian move, second phase, into Ukraine, which is coming February 21st. Now, that's been my position the whole time. Bombs move markets, and I've believed that they're basically at the Comex, they're just basically moving around empty pallets before the doors open. We find out there's really not much in there. And can we really trust what they're reporting? I don't think so. It's like the BLS numbers and all the other numbers they're reporting. We know they're managed and they're rigged. Shadow Stats proves that all the time there. So the magical coincidence was that the derivatives houses like the Comex would roll over under the weight of a conflict with Russia going into Ukraine. And this time we're going to see Belarus getting involved with this. And in the last 2 hours, the Norwegian intelligence has announced that Russian ships, for the first time in 30 years, have left into the North Sea, and they're carrying nuclear weapons here. So that's the magical coincidence. I knew this was coming. Now, something really fresh came into the picture here. February 10th, the CFTC issued a statement on their clearinghouse. Let me read this to you. February 10th, this is from cftc.gov. Staff of the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission divisions of clearing risk mark participants today released the following statement to update the public on reporting delays. So the COT reports are being delayed. And this is an area that I normally ignore, but this I couldn't ignore because this was major. Even though I don't talk about it, I monitor it nonstop. A cyber-related incident at ION cleared derivatives. A subsidiary of ION Markets, a third-party service provider of cleared derivatives, order management, order execution, trading, and trade processing. Although the impact of the cyber-related incident has been mitigated, firms that are responsible for reporting are continuing to experience some issues with respect to the submission of timely and accurate data from the CFTC. So now we got a glitch at the CFTC. But to me, we've had a glitch at the CFTC since silver went down from $50 to $10 starting in 2011. Also with the silver Psyop, when we had silver go down and Bitcoin go up. This is February 10th, and I'm reading from the CFTC statement here. Further, CFTC staff recognizes there remains impact to some reporting firms due to the incident at ION. This is a major, major deal because as of today, this was dated February 10th, and as of today, which is February 13th, tomorrow being Valentine's Day, this is still a problem. They say that it has not been completed yet here. It has not been corrected. So I'm reading this article, and out comes Friday, an article on coming out of King World News. And this article suddenly brought up this issue here. I'm reading this halfway through the article. Clearly downside from here, and the gold price appears limited. The weak hands have been shaken out. Volumes have declined, but rock solid buying every time the gold price dipped to 1900 has obviously evaporated. The danger for bulls is that the swaps, comprised mostly of bullion banking trading desks, can continue to mark prices lower without being challenged. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Traders relying on positions information are flying blind. Wait, what? Traders relying on position information are flying blind because the CFTC's COT reports are still suspended. This is from Gold Money. And this is dated February 10th, the same day I read the article from the CFTC. So now they're flying blind, but there's some things in this article that weren't mentioned at the CFTC. And this gets good here. This is juicy. Because the CFTC COT reports are still suspended following the cyber attack on financial software provider Ion, Euronext's COT report has also been suspended. So now the COT, the Commitment of Traders reports at the CFTC as well as Euronext, there is no report. So in other words, if there's a lot of silver in the vault, we don't know what's there. If there's no silver in the vault, we don't know if it's there. Now, I've always said the silver's not there, but this gets even better. So hang on, buckle up here. Euronext COT report has also been suspended for the same reason. So there's no commitment of traders. So everyone's buying silver and like, we don't know what's going on. And guys like Bix Ware who report all the time. Bix does a good job reporting on this. I mean, he follows it like a hawk, as well as other announcers here on YouTube. It seems Ion has paid a ransom to Lockbit. Here we go. This wasn't in the CFTC, but it's on Gold Money. It seems Ion has paid a ransom to Lockbit, confirmed as being behind the attack. Now, here's where it gets good. Prepare yourselves. Hold on. Lockbit appears to be affiliated with the Russian government. And now, here we have the Lockbit. So now we have the Russian government is involved. We've got the Ukraine conflict coming up February 21st. And now there is a scapegoat. We can now, all the silver, the derivatives can be gone, and can now blame the Russian government. It goes on. In both the United States, CFTC and Euronext, regulated futures exchanges in Western capital markets are being attacked. So now the CFTC and the Euronext is being attacked by the Russians. It's no longer, the guys reporting on this on YouTube and the silver traders. Now it's those pesky Russians, a Russian affiliated ransomware organization. Besides obtaining ransoms from Ion, so apparently they paid. Here's the money. Lockbit now possesses and possibly has continuing access to vital data, which at any time they can attack or compromise. Hey, really? What are they going to do? With, China's buying all this gold, 365, 400 tons. Russia's buying another 55 tons. Central banks have bought record highs at 55-year highs. Plus, Russia's talking about a gold-backed ruble and the gold-backed yuan. Why not raise the price of gold? They have access to vital data here. This is like a James Bond story here. So besides obtaining ransoms from Ion, Lockbit now possesses and possibly has continuing access to vital data at which anytime they can attack or compromise. Well, my dear Lockbit, can you please adjust the silver price to $225 where it should be right now? Hello, because why? Because we're trading at 60% discount to 1980 prices in silver. Maybe they're going to correct it. And if they do, who do you think they're going to point the finger at in the mainstream news? They're going to point the finger at Russia. Now the magical compromise to went from being the turnover of derivative houses at the conflict to now the turnover of Russia attacking Ukraine, Russia bad now, and now Russia, they screwed up the precious metals market now too. There can be little doubt that this represents intelligence valuable to the Russian government, particularly with respect to what? Oil and gas contracts. Now, this goes on because my predictions on oil are 150 a barrel, then 220. If we get a 4 million barrel cut between Saudis and Russia, we're going to 220 and then 380 if the Persian Gulf was shut down by the Israeli attack on the Iranian nuclear facilities, which is in the works. They're drilling right now. So this may be scaremongering. This may be scaremongering. Could it be that Lockbit is providing Russia data access for a further cyber attack on futures markets? Whoa, imagine that. How dare they attack those futures markets? Well, they're legit markets, aren't they? Well, we know they're not. As an extension of the conflict in Ukraine. So now think about this. Our markets of silver and oil are now part of the Ukraine war. Those pesky Russians have done it again. Now, this lets everybody at the Comex off the hooks, those damn Russians. We were trying to fix this thing, and those damn Russians came in and messed it all up. Well, Russia's going to go back ruble. What are they going to do? They're going to push the price up. That's what I think. But I think we could see a scenario where we would see these prices get rug pulled, trigger out all the sell stops, and then run it straight up. That's one scenario that we looked over here. Now, this may be scaremongering, the article goes on to say, but good investigators always proceed on the basis there is no such thing as coincidence, which I find very interesting because for months I have been hashtagging magical coincidence, but I spelled coincidence with a Q, not a C on purpose. Meanwhile, traders are likely to be discouraged from taking out long positions. So discouraged, why would anyone want to not take out a long position when war is going to break out? Nuclear weapons are in the North Sea heading towards Norway. The debt ceiling has been maxed out. We got balloons flying in the air, Chinese balloons. We've got Ohio, which is completely turned into a chemical war zone here. And now this, we are approaching the time when a new phase of the Ukraine war is about to kick off. Better be long gold and silver. With tank numbers building up, it's not for nothing that Zelenskyy has been touring Europe with demands for yet more weaponry. 170,000 casualties dead in Ukraine. The guy wants more weapons. Now, I'm going to add this. JP Morgan, this is dated February 12th from Charles Gasparino, Fox News. Here's the headline. JP Morgan reaches agreement with Ukraine's Zelenskyy on rebuilding infrastructure in Ukraine. Well, that's funny because today's February 13th. These Ion has been hacked. There's a war starting February 1st. Now JP Morgan's in, who is the largest holders of silver. Now, would they benefit from silver going to $50 to $100 to $225 an ounce? Of course they would. But what are the odds that JP Morgan would be reaching an agreement with the Ukraine, with Zelenskyy, the madman, at a time like this? And then another story of Blackrock saying that this Hungarian saying that Blackrock owns Ukraine land. This is a lot of stuff I just threw out there, David. And I know it is for your listeners here, but you have smart listeners. This is major. Let me finish this article right now here. We are approaching the time when a new phase of the Ukraine war is about to kick off. With tank numbers building up, it's not for nothing that Zelenskyy has been touring Europe with demands for yet more weaponry. Well, weapons are money. And if JP Morgan's there, why not finance this? At this time last year, and I know because I started my stock club this year and everybody made money. At this time last year, gold began a rapid rise to 2070, which I believe we are going to go right through 2070 here very soon. And oil traded up from 85 to 120 when Russia attacked. It is amazing that markets are ignoring the very clear signals that the conditions which led to commodity and energy prices soaring last February are in place to happen again. This time, will gold break out above all-time highs? In my opinion, yes. We're going up here. Oil's going up. Gold's going up. And, you know, the Comex can roll over and play dead. If they want to blame the Russians to take the burden off them, let them do it. In my opinion, I'm going to say this. When the Comex and all the derivative houses roll over, they're going to blame Russia, and the price of gold and silver are going up along with oil. And this is a good way to say Russia's fault. Russia did it. I'll take it. Anything, because we've already learned one thing. These guys can be convicted of manipulation, lying on the COT reports, moving things around. Nothing happens. If it's going to take a story from Russia to move it, and I've said this before in my videos, I said it's going to take a near nuclear war to move gold and silver, because once gold gets past that 2,300 range and once silver gets past that $50 range, the Fed is going to start to have a coronary heart attack, and the banks are going to be buried once a bullion bat will be buried once we get past that $50 range. Hey, and if the Russians do it, they can declare force majeure and say it's the Russians' fault. There you
Let
have
me back you up. You did spill a lot there, John. So one that kind of went over my head was that Blackrock owns Ukraine. Can you explain that further?
Okay, so I'm reading, this is from this is an article here. How interesting how Zelenskyy sold Ukraine to Blackrock. These are, you can actually, Stoic Finance, there's a bunch of videos coming out. I'm looking for the English version here. First Blackrock, now JP Morgan. Who knows who else? The vultures are circling Ukraine. This is all, it's on Twitter, but it's a really obscure story here. Here's another one here. And there was a meeting where Zelenskyy made the presentation to BlackRock and JP Morgan. This is from February 4th. Breaking. Zelenskyy, I will send you the video so you can put it on the video here. Zelenskyy thanks BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and others for their support of Ukraine. Adds that sending Ukraine heavier weapons like Abrams tanks represents a big business opportunity for U.S. corporations. I'll send you the video. He's thanking them. So this situation here with BlackRock, I'll send you the video on this here. This was not covered by the news, obviously here. This is from Based Hungary, leader of the second biggest party in Hungary, Mi Hazánk, Torozakai Lazio announces, this moved just as I was talking. This article literally just vanished as I'm talking here.
Let me interject a couple things, John. First, one goes back to my premise: all wars are bankers' wars.
Yes.
It also goes to the fact that if you looked at any of my lectures, not any of them, but several of them over the years have talked about the way the world really works. And I used the pyramid from the Thrive movies, Thrive 1, and maybe it's on Thrive 2. But it shows, we, the people and the animals and the plants at the very, very bottom. And right above that's government. What's above government? Corporations. And what's above corporations? The banking empire. So anyone that doesn't think, so there's no ambiguity for our logic. And that is, even though you say the corporations, which are accurate, but who's running those? Think about, I'm going to digress for just a minute. I don't want you to take off on this tangent, but how many zombie corporations are out there? The only way a zombie corporation can stay in business is because the bank, their buddy, if they want, will keep them going by giving them good money after bad, just to keep them alive. But they're really insolvent. And that is because they have a relationship or there's some favor or whatever that's required. But in a free market system that was truly capitalism, those zombies wouldn't be walking, they'd be dead because the free market takes care of stuff like that. Anyway, I didn't want to digress too far. So we figured out why Ukraine is owned by BlackRock. Now what I want a little more emphasis on is this commitment of traders situation where this whole thing's been based on derivatives from the get-go or from early on. We don't really know exactly who's telling the truth to whom. I know that silver's been double counted many, many times because you get an amount of silver that's coming from Peru, but it's also counted as Canadian because the mining companies from Canada. That's an example. That one doesn't happen very often anymore, but there are some where the bank has a hypothecation on the silver. So it's on their books. But that silver's only on their books. It's actually been moved over to a facility for making weaponry, whatever. So I just want to hand it back to you, but this is exciting and also scary. So let me see if I can summarize this and make sure that our viewers get it. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to see the Comex go up in smoke, and they're going to blame it on the Russians. Do I have that about right?
Those damn Russians, man. Vladimir Putin, man. It's like, listen, the house of cards is going to come down. We all of us in the silver business, we know the house of cards is going to come down. We know the Comex is already done. It's toast. It's burnt. We know they don't have the silver that they say they have. JP Morgan has it all. And here they are managing Zelensky's money. What better scapegoat than to blame it on Russia? Yeah. Hey, listen, if as a silver investor, as a trader, we have to sit here and say, okay, they're going to blame Russia. Of course, wink, wink. All the news will like a circus choir, the Bloomberg, CNBC, all the big, breaking news, those damn Russians, that Vladimir Putin, and of course, us silver traders be going, dude, we've been reporting on this forever. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that they'd blame Russia for this when we knew? How are they going to get out? Because as never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, they're not going to let this one go to waste. It's like, I got a great idea. Let's blame the Russians. Just blame the Russians. Why? I said, well, because who else are we going to blame?
Yeah.
We can't, because they're not going to pull down their pants and say, I'm sorry, this is the crying game in the silver markets. They're not going to do that.
Well, let's segue. Sorry, but I want to interject this. Let's segue into the big picture from my perspective. And that is, I've talked about a cyber attack for a long time, but this goes back to the bailing, right?
Yes.
So they could do 2 or 3 things at one time or 10 things at one time, meaning with a Russian cyber attack, the banking system failed. And we're sorry, we just had to bail you in to keep us solvent so the whole system can, reboot or reset. And oh, by the way, the commodities markets are trash. I mean, am I on a tangent?
Oh man, no, I didn't even go down that road. Boy, you just opened up Pandora's box of speculative, speculative guarantees. I mean, I never even thought about that. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, well, it's going to be like, the Russians pulled a string on your sweater, the cartoons where there's like the string is like the whole sweater's coming apart on one string, and next thing you know, it's like, well, it's like, it's like they pulled out the dominoes and all of a sudden everything came apart.
Well,
why not? Yeah, let's blame Russia. I mean, who else are we going to blame?
Yeah. If you think about it, if they pull the rug on the banking system, because there aren't that many people interested in the silver market because they're undereducated.
That's right.
Silver and gold markets, even oil market, would be kind of a subset of, oh my God, the banks have failed.
That's right.
And now we've got to reboot the banks. And oh yeah, by the way, so did these trading houses, so did the Comex, so did all these derivative positions and everything else. We're so sorry, but the cyber attack wiped everything out. Here's what we're going to do. Sorry you don't get your money, but we have to keep solvent so that the system can restart. I mean, I know that sounds extremely.
No, I just right on the money. I think it's right on the money. I mean, look, who's going to take the fall for all this manipulation? Not a single human being. And surely they're not going to call up, Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan. Dude, you're going to take the fall. He's like, I don't think so. He goes, I got a better idea. How about we just throw it on Putin, because every time, look what happened to all this crypto. Where's FTX? FTX is gone. It's not even on the news anymore. Poof, billions gone. It's like, I tell people like magic, it's like, it's like Zoltar. There, 34 billion gone. Poof, gone. FTX arrested. Guys at home drinking Starbucks.
I know
the story's gone, but remember, all that money got hacked. It's like, where did it go? It's like, I don't know. It's like nobody knows. They're going to do the same thing here and say, well, I don't know. Here they're going to say those damn Russians did it. Why? Because they're a commodities. They have all this gold. China has all this gold, and then of course, as things get worse and worse and worse, but the time that story comes out, it'll be Russia will be attacking Ukraine. Right after the new moon. And then all of a sudden, the silver's doing this, and it's like, oh, those damn Russians, and we'll be those of us in the silver business. What do you mean, Russia? These assholes have been screwing up the CFTC and the Comex for years. They finally found someone to blame. They couldn't blame Bix for doing all this, although he did all the work of getting all this stuff out. It's like he's not important enough. Let's put it on Vladimir Putin here. I think this is the plan. My opinion is. This is the magical coincidence is the derivatives are going to come apart as bombs move markets. But the big left turn, the big thing that comes out of freaking left field is putting the Russia stamp on this thing saying Russia, they did it. Those son of a bitches here. Silver's going up. And it's like, we'll be the silver people like, well, I guess we'll have to take it like this because we knew nobody was going to take responsibility over there anyhow. So, hey, we'll take it. Then it'll be in the news and we'll be all sitting around kind of like, okay, where's that video we did with Perez and David Morgan regarding Russia? It really did come true. And to make matters even better, this fulfills the silver Psyop. Chances are that what's trending today, Epstein client list. the whole basis behind the crypto conspiracy is that Bitcoin dies, silver flies. And what's out trending today? The Epstein client list, and Epstein and Bitcoin are joined at the hip. And who was Epstein's banker? None other than Jamie Dimon, who is now Zelensky's banker. I mean, what do we do now? I mean, it's like how much tequila and wine can we drink before we realize, that we all know we've been played. We're just trying to figure out how these guys are going to extricate themselves from this. But it looks like they have found the ultimate scapegoat, and that's Vladimir Putin. At the end of the day, we all know that somehow they have to pull out of this and use a crisis to their advantage. And I think this is going to be the exit strategy for clearing the derivative story here, that there's no way out. I mean, how else can they get out of the fact that there's no metal backing what's in the Comex? And this is going to launch silver and gold. This is going to launch silver and mining stocks. This is going to move everyone to the forefront. I think silver and gold are finally going to get their day in the light, because now we have a foreign entity that has come in. And to your point, I mean, hey, if this goes down, why don't we just cyber hack the entire banking system and let's throw it all let's throw it all on Russia. Why not? Unless you want to take responsibility for this. And we saw those videos of those bankers saying, well, they don't trust the banking system, and I wouldn't either. It's like nobody in America with a suit or tie on or a title is going to come out and say, we made a mistake here. It's like, they're not going to do that. They're going to be busy counting their money in their accounts and saying, where's my retirement coming in? I've got my gold, I got my silver here, and these guys are going to take over, and we're just going to blame Russia. That's what I see happening here. And you know what? At the end of the day, it'll come true. Hashtag bombs move markets. Hashtag silver Psyop comes into play. And we're going to move to the upside here. And none other than, of course, once again, going back to the Hillary Clinton calling Trump a Russian agent. Guys like me, they're going to say, oh, you must be a Russian troll. It's like, really? It's like, no, I'm just telling the news here. This is all publicly accessed stuff. Some of us just figured it out better than others. So the magical coincidence is coming. It's going to be the derivative markets are going to meet bombs. The derivative markets, CFTC, Comex, are going to meet the Ukraine bombs move market situation. And the magical conspiracy out of left field is that Russia is to blame for all this. I mean, I feel like I'm watching a movie. And it's absolutely, and here's the thing, you and I know with the fundamentals of the market, we know all the BLS statistics are all wrong. We know all the numbers of reporting are wrong. We know the debt ceiling is already redlining here. So they need a crisis. And there's no better time to have a crisis, which is already in play, February 21st. And you got the perfect scapegoat, those pesky Russian hackers. They hacked into Hillary's email. They can't find Hillary's emails, but they found the hacker for the derivative Comex. Okay. All right. I get it. Wink, wink.
What's the 21st of February? What's that date mean?
February 20th is the new moon, and February 21st is the war speech that Vladimir Putin is going to give, he's going to give the speech to his people as to why they're going into Ukraine for the second half of what I call the big Russian hammer. So things are going to go, we're going to go full FUBAR somewhere between the 20th and the 22nd here in Ukraine, and things are going to light up out there. And everything on the news right now is going to be poof, and if the derivatives, if silver and gold move right before that, and the derivative houses, start to run over, they start to blame Russia for this, poof, that's going to move to the side, because the news cycle will be most likely on Russia, bombing Ukraine. And that's going to be the news cycle, those evil Russians again. And we're going to be sitting here watching this on television. Meanwhile, as it should go, Crisis Investing 101, bombs move markets, silver and gold are going to move to the upside. We are going to go through $2,070 gold. We're going to finally break. We need to break $28 silver here. I'd like to see it broken before the end of if we can break $28 before the end of this month, then we have clear skies, clear sailing to 30.33. And we still have China coming into the work. All these balloons being shot down, all these Chinese spy balloons. They're now they're over there waving, their missiles, So we got a lot to come. We're just getting started here, David. It's going to get fun. The fireworks are coming, but As I said, I think I said it in my December interview with you. I said it's going to take a near nuclear war to move silver and gold, because if they allow gold to take off past 2,300, then gold is going to destroy the Fed, because the Fed is against the wall, because they're at the debt ceiling, and gold is ready to break out on crisis and conflict. Imagine that. Gold what are they going to do? I mean, it's really, the Fed is done, and if anything's going to happen soon here, I can say anything. We are really going to see if that comment, that quote, that gold shall destroy the Fed comes true. I believe it will. And silver is going to bury the banks. It's going to, and they're going to blame Russia. This is, again, a big prediction of mine, and I'm either going to make a big fool of myself or just be consistent and show another prediction coming true.
John, that's great. I appreciate you jumping on at the short notice. Is there anything else you'd like to do, or would you like to summarize before we close out?
Summarize. Everyone, keep an eye on. Make sure that you read the transcripts to what Vladimir Putin's speech will be on February 21st. I will send you the information for the video on J.P. Morgan's agreement with Ukraine's Zelenskyy and the Blackrock agreements with Ukraine. And it's kind of odd that the biggest silver holder is now in Ukraine, and Russia's about to attack Ukraine, and the derivative market's about to. I mean, this is it just smells to high hell. And but I'll get you the data there. But I would say I'd like to see $28 silver broken this month in February, and a break of gold going right through 2070. And if that happens, if we see 28 plus silver and gold past 27, man, watch out. Watch out. We just all may be jumping up and down and seeing the Super Bowl of silver, which will be awesome.
Great. All right, John, thank you very much.
You're welcome.